They were in love, and they came to my parents. My sister was 18 years old. Said, Mom, Dad, I want your blessing. We want to get married. And my mom and dad said, we will bless it if you wait 1 year. And Riley, you go to college for a year, and then we will bless your marriage. You know what my sister said? Hang it on your beak. I'm going to get married. With or without your blessing. And my parents said, if you choose, we can't bless it. She said, I don't care. And she came to me and said, John, Mom and Dad won't be there. Will you walk me down the aisle? I said, yeah, but I don't think it's wise. I said, I don't care. I'm getting married. Because at 18, you know everything. You don't have there's no foolishness in you. There's no lying in your heart. You know exactly what you want. After they were married, she discovered that Jay did not want to have children. Wow. You would think that would be something you would talk about with someone before you got married with them. But, gang, our heart lies to us. It's like this. Our heart goes, la, 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 la. Don't tell me the truth. I don't want to know the truth. I know what I want. And I'm so wise and smart. And I'm not going to sit back and evaluate and look at my life and go, wait a minute, if the two people who know me best in the world at this point, which is, by the way, your mom and dad, and if they both go, we don't think this is a good thing, if you ignore that to your own peril. After you get married, the person you will know the best is your spouse. But you don't know them best until you're married. And you know what? The problem with our hearts, we all lie to ourselves. And what God is saying is that wisdom starts with going, what am I saying to myself? What things am I telling myself, and is that true? And what most of us never do is stop and go, do you hear yourself? I can remember a few years ago, we were doing some fundraising, and I was talking to this guy about giving to a missionary endeavor. And the guy told me this. He said, I would love to give, but I don't have the money. I'm poor. I don't have much money right now. So I'd love to give. And here's the thing. When God allows me to start making lots of money and stuff, I'll give. And I love that line of reasoning. You hear it all the time. You're not doing it now, but in the future, when circumstances change, you will do it. You know what? It's a lie. The scripture says this, if you're faithful in little things, you'll be faithful in the big things. But if you can't do the little things, and you believe later on when stuff comes that you'll do the big things, you're lying to yourself. And I told him, I said, you're lying to yourself. I'm not saying you have to give, because Scripture says you should determine before God if you're going to give. I'm just asking you to consider it. But if you're using the excuse that, you know what, I don't have much money now, I bet you could give $1. But you're not going to give $1 because you're poor and you're going to wait until you get rich and then give. That ain't going to happen. If you're not faithful doing the things now, you won't be faithful doing it later. It's like school. You go, you know what? I don't have to really work in high school, but when I get to college, boy, then I'll go to work. You know what? That ain't true. If you can't work and do it here, you wait till college. You'll find this a little more difficult than this. And if you've not developed the habits to do it here, you ain't going to have the habits when you get there. You know why? Because we lie to ourselves. And here's the thing. I'm going to ask you something. I want you to say, do you believe that's true? Do you in your core really believe you lie to yourself? Here's what God comes along and says, that we lie to ourselves And here's the thing. Do you believe that? Let me ask you. If you really believed that you lie to yourself, what would be of value to you? I'd like you at your tables to work this out. If you really believe that your heart lies to you, what would be your values and your behaviors? At your table, talk that out. Go.
Truth coming from something outside yourself.
Yes. And where would you get that truth from outside yourself?
God.
From God. Are there other sources of truth outside yourself?
Wise mentors.
Yes. Wise people. It's called counsel. You might go to counsel and go, wow, I need your advice. I might be lying to myself. Could you help me see this thing clearly? Yes. And by the way, what would then be your behavior?
Seeking truth.
You would seek truth, you seek counsel. You go to people and you talk. You look at the scriptures and pray and go, God, am I lying to myself? All right, Isaiah. You guys obviously are done because you're talking about the forbidden fruit and whether you're going to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Okay, so my heart is telling me to eat that fruit.
Oh,
But
good.
I'm not gonna.
You're not going to listen to your heart.
But Disney says.
Okay, let's come back. If you really believe,
We said self-examination, like you'd examine your life.
oh, good. One of the things you'd start to do is say, I need to take a look at what I'm believing about myself. Excellent. Yes?
Truth from something outside yourself.
Yes. If you really believe that you lie to yourself, guess what? You might actually go look for truth outside of yourself. To go, am I lying to myself here? Yes, Josh.
You would be like Bob, and you would have a complete lack of trust in anything else. Because if you can't trust yourself, how can you trust anybody else?
I agree.
So, right, if you're going, I trust me, and what I'm telling myself is true, I don't trust other people. For you to look for truth outside of yourself would require that you trust what? Someone else. Proverbs has this great little proverb. It says this, the wounds of a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. The wounds of a friend can be trusted. What does that say?
Basically, when someone holds you accountable, you gotta, it might hurt, but it's true.
If I go to a friend who really is concerned about me and they tell me what I don't want to hear, it's not going to be fun. But you can trust in it. Yes?
But I feel like sometimes they do it with the wrong intentions, or they're not fully capable of understanding, and they do it too much, do it to a fault.
Good. By the way, if you're going to go get truth from somebody outside, then which kind of people are you going to go get it from? People who what? You're going to be looking for people of wisdom. This is what I love about your teen movies. All the teen movies show this. Yeah, like Mean Girls or any of these other fun
Girls
movies.
is a good movie.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie. Girl who never lived in Africa, by the way. That's small believability issue in the movie.
It was just to develop her character.
Exactly. So, here's the thing. All of your movies show young people facing a problem. And who do they go to?
Their peers.
The gay friend.
The gay friend. Because we all know that gay friends are the wisest people on the planet. I just love it. You look at that line of thinking and you go, wow, this is special. Do you think they're trying to portray something that might not actually be true? Because what do we believe about them?
Follow your heart and
Follow your heart. Trust your heart. And I'm sorry to reveal it today. You're being lied to, and you know who's telling you the lie? You are. And you know what I know is true? You don't believe that. You really don't believe that. By the way, if you did believe it, you know how I'm going to see whether you believe it? That when you're facing a difficult decision, you go to wise people, as Proverbs says, in a multitude of counselors, there is wisdom. Where do you get counsel from? Or do you go, I don't need counsel. I know my own heart. I know everything I need. Well, you're lying to yourself. Because you don't really believe you lie to yourself. I don't need counsel. 2, we need to go to some external source of truth. Why did Jesus come to the planet?
Testify to truth.
To testify to what is true. Maybe Jesus might know actually what's going on in your heart. Do you ever sit down and go, Lord, as David did in Psalm 139, examine my heart, Lord. Am I lying to myself? And if I am, Lord, would you show me if I'm lying to myself? I need your truth. Because you know what I know is true about me? I lie to myself. By the way, gang, we all do it. I do it. No temptation's overtaking me that's not common to man. If I'm tempted to lie to myself, you know what I know is true? You all are tempted to lie to yourself. And we do lie to ourselves. So here starts this thing of, what does a prudent man do? A prudent man gives thought to their ways. There's some wisdom here. That's why I like the idiot lights. You do not get in your automobile this afternoon when you leave here. You don't jump in your automobile, turn it on and go, you know, I really wonder about the oil in my car. I better drive down to the service station down there on Speedway, the Shell, between Craycroft and Swan, and go into that Shell station and stop and say, hey, would you check my oil? And pull in, and they open it up and check the oil and say, it's fine. Good, I'm glad I got enough oil. And you drive out and you go, you know, I better check my oil again. Because something might have happened in the last 5 minutes that my oil's. So I drive to the next service station and pull in and say, would you check my oil? You don't need to do that. Here's the thing. We often think, or people often say, if you start to examine your life, you need to walk around self-absorbed, going, what am I thinking? Am I thinking what is true? Maybe I need to test this right now and find out. That's not how you do it. You wait for the idiot light. When the idiot light goes off, then it's, you know what the prudent man does? When the idiot light goes off, that's the time to stop and go, what's going on? The prudent man then gives thought to his way. When you're facing huge decisions, I might need to get some good counsel. That's why we have a counselor at school. And you're thinking about colleges, and Mrs. Weber has an immense amount of wisdom and experience, having been a collegiate recruiter, to understand things related to college. And you can say, what do I need anybody's advice for? I know my own mind. Wonderful. But here's the deal. Could you be lying to yourself? By the way, not everybody should go to college. I learned this from my little brother. I got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree at the U of A. I started teaching at Catalina High School. I made $19,000 a year in 1977 with a master's degree. $19,000 a year. My little brother was 18. He left Saguaro High School. He did go to college for 2 days. He went to the U of A, and after 2 days said, this is a waste of time. I'm done with this. And he went out and got a job as the food and beverage manager at the Oro Valley Country Club.
Is this the one that owns Pinky?
Mm-hmm. He made $38,000 a year as an 18-year-old, as a food and beverage manager. And I learned an important lesson. You know what? Going to college and getting a degree does not guarantee you're going to make more money than somebody who doesn't.
Amen. But is your heart happy with what you did?
That is a different question.
money
There it is.
By the way, if you want to become wealthy, by the way, if you've been saying to yourself, I want to be wealthy, you know the much faster way to become wealthy? Go create an enterprise and succeed in business.
16 business. What's that?
In other words, go start a business and make it successful. You'll make far more money than you'll ever make getting a degree and going on. If that's your goal in life, is to make lots of money. But if you want to talk about a scary endeavor, my brother started Paint Kings with $125. It's the last $125 he had. And he started Paint Kings. And that was 29 years ago. And he worked hard. He worked 16-hour days in the summer in apartments that were not air conditioned, painting. Wasn't easy, but it ended up being successful. But it's down to this. Do you know your heart? Do you trust it? Do you think maybe I should take a look at my heart and make sure that I'm not lying to myself? Because here's the truth, we all lie to ourselves. All right, the reason this is called processing is this. You guys are going to process me.
Ooh, nice.
I told you a couple of weeks ago about an issue that I had in Kenya with driving. At your table, review with each other what I talked about 2 weeks ago about my driving in Kenya. Go.
He got angry because people made him angry, and then he did things because he was angry.
Yes.
Is there any idiot like going off in my life?
Anger.
Got a quick review? Miss Padilla, what did I tell you all a couple of weeks ago? And I ran somebody off the road.
Head-on collision.
Right. I didn't have any head-on collisions. No. MacArthur, what did I say?
In regards to running them off the road?
Yeah, my driving. What was I experiencing when I drove?
Road rage?
Road rage. Presenting problem. What's the idiot like going off in my life?
Anger.
Anger. Here's what I want you to do at your table. I want you now to come up with. You got anger. Mr. O'Hare is an angry person. I'm an angry bird. I'm angry. You know from this that the behavior, the anger, is due to something. I want you to come up with some questions you would ask me to help me begin to process down of what's going on. As a table, think up some questions. Go. All right, Ravel, what would you guys ask at your table?
We said, why were you angry and what was going through your head when you pushed him off the road?
Say the second one.
What was going through your head when you pushed him off the road?
When I pushed him over. What was going through my head is I was so angry he'd cut me off. I just wanted to drive him off the road.
Why were you angry? Was there other questions?
Because he's not driving right. He's not obeying the rules of the
But
road.
now are you?
Yes,
Can I ask you?
sure.
Is this a righteous anger?
Is this a righteous anger? You know, I'm not sure. I sure feel angry.
You said he wasn't driving right. Can you define right?
He's not obeying the. I had the right of way. He cut me off. You've been cut off before. Doesn't that make you angry when you get cut off?
I just turned off the stereo.
You just turned off your stereo. You turned it off.
What other things besides driving make you angry?
That's a good question. What else makes me angry?
Wet towels.
I get really angry when people don't respect me. So when people are disrespectful, I get really angry. Rick?
Had anything else happened to you that day that might have been previously
No, it was just the driving.
straight
It
up
just
that guy and
boom.
then just set you off?
Trout?
Did you feel that he wasn't respecting the law or that he was
That's an excellent question.
Go roasting.
I certainly know he's not respecting the law, and so in connection with that, I think I take that he doesn't respect me.
Why do you feel that you have a position to be angry at him when you have also broken the law as well?
Yeah, but I work really hard to obey the law. He doesn't care about the law.
How do you know?
Well, I can see by the way he behaves, by what he does. He doesn't.
Have you ever been let down by someone dear to you?
Ooh. Excellent question. When you deal with values, your question is really from this point in. What we're trying to do with this first set of questions is to identify shifted desires to goals. I want something. The question should be, what do you want? When somebody says they're angry, the question to start is, what do you want? What are we looking for in that question?
The value.
What they want. So many of these, we're starting to get at that. I'm angry. What do I want? I want people to obey the rules of the road.
Why are you an exception?
Think about that for a minute. I've told you what I want. What is it that I want? I want people to obey the rules of the road. Goal or desire? So what's the question you would ask?
Are you trying to control it?
Say it again.
Why are you trying to control it?
Okay.
Or how do you
Yeah. So rather than say why, what's another way of asking that same question?
How do you think what you're doing is controlling the situation?
Okay, that's much better. How about this? Can you control what people do on the road? So ask me that question.
Can you control what people do on the road?
No. Say it another way. Give you a little hint. Starting questions with why, you want to very rarely do that. Because what's true of my heart?
It lies to you.
It lies to me. The why is always going to be something that I make up. So the questions are good, just don't ask why. Think of the question in another way without asking why. Excellent question. Can you rephrase it? Well, state it again the way you'd stated it.
How are you trying? Who are you trying to control his actions?
Oh, of course not. I'm not trying to control anybody.
What do you believe is a way that you could control his actions?
By running him off the road. He'll learn his lesson. He won't cut anybody off again. Because if he cuts somebody off, somebody's going to run him off the road. But,
Is it your place to teach him
is it my place to teach him that? Well, obviously no one's taught him the rules of the road, so I'm thinking, yes, it is my place to teach him, because he hasn't learned to obey the traffic rules.
Did this benefit you, and after you ran him off the road, were you any less angry?
Did it benefit me? It felt good. It did feel good. Susie?
How do you know what's trying to teach him before?
Well, you can see by the way he drives. He obviously learned how to drive from a monkey, who doesn't know anything how to drive.
Wait, so you said to Michael that you weren't trying to control. What was Michael's question?
I asked, were you trying to control?
So you weren't trying to control? Is that what you said? What was your answer to his question?
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to control.
So then what were you trying to do?
Excellent. Do you see what you've just revealed in me? Do you see this line of, say it, Ravel, tell me. expound out on this about what your question.
If you weren't trying to control, then what were you trying to do?
And I just said I was trying to do what? Teach him. But I've said I'm not trying to control, but I'm trying to teach him. What has just been uncovered? Say it, please. I'm lying. Notice that I say, I'm not trying to control him. I'm just trying to teach him. Doesn't that sound wonderful? I'm such a noble, good person, aren't I? In reality, I'm lying. But how do you get me to see that with a question? What's the difference between teaching him and controlling him? Well, I'm trying to make him so that he won't do that again. Yeah? Controlling is that I get in his car and I knock him in the head and I take over the car and make sure he doesn't cut somebody off. So don't your actions actually look like you're trying to control somebody? Yeah. Rick?
What if your mom?
That is a great question to ask, but when do you ask that?
Once they're like at the.
Once it gets their belief.
Once you get to my belief. What are we trying to uncover right now?
Your values.
What my values, what I want. Now I've told you what I want is I want people to obey the rules of the road. You've defined, what's that, goal or desire?
Desire.
What have I done?
Switch your goals.
I've switched. Yes.
If you value people obeying the rules of the road, then didn't you violate your own value by pushing off the road?
That's not real value, maybe?
Yeah, but I was justified in doing it. He endangered me and my family, so I had to show him that he was really wrong.
Didn't you endanger yourself and the bus driver and your family by pushing off the road?
Now that you say that, yes.
So, is what you really value that people obey the rules? Is that what you really value?
Yes. I really value that. John?
For what reason other than safety do you want people to follow the rules?
Say it again.
For what reason other than safety do you want people to follow the rules?
Okay. Getting it too complex. So how do you ask that in an open-ended way? It's a good question. Think of another way to say that. No. No, you're on the right track. Can you help him with it?
You literally just said that.
Well, that's not necessary.
Let me rephrase it. What will everybody obeying the rules do for you? What will it do for me if everybody obeys the rules?
You don't have to do it.
It's an interesting question. What will that do for me? It'll make my life easier. It'll make my own life and the life of my family safer. I won't get angry anymore.
But you just said your anger was justified. So why do you not want your anger if it's justifiable to have it?
That's a good question.
Almost like you're sensing it's wrong.
Say it again.
So it's almost like you're sensing it's wrong.
Yes. How would you ask that question?
Do you think that's wrong?
Do you maybe sense that your anger isn't good? You're right. I have a sense that it's not good. There's something wrong there. Back to goals and desires. Remember we said this. You shift this to this, why?
Control the second one.
You don't want to be in a place where you have to trust You want to be in a place where you can control. What is it that I want? You've all discovered it. What did I want?
People to follow the rules of the
I
road.
want everybody to follow the rules of the road. And the question was, this question should be asked, do you control that? Can I control everybody obeying the rules of the road? No. So what is it doing for me to try and take control of something I can't control? What's that doing for me? Well, I want to feel like I'm in control. Is that good or bad?
Bad.
Particular for something I can't control, right? So if I'm saying, but I want to feel like I'm in control, you can go, but why do you want to take control of something you have no control over? To protect me. Keep me safe. To make my life easier. I want to be happy, don't you? Wouldn't you want it that everybody obeys the traffic rules? Wouldn't that be nice? See how I turn it back at you? Get you to go in. Why do people do that? Don't look at me. Turn it away. Don't look. These are not the droids you see. Think of any other questions.
What purpose does your anger serve?
Oh, it lets me blow off steam at these idiot drivers.
How does what you do teach you to do better
Oh,
and not
I'm-
just following your example?
Well, my hope is that if he ever comes into a roundabout again and cuts somebody off, he's going to think twice before he does that, because somebody will run him off the road.
Did you really make a change?
I felt like I did.
Is it your responsibility to discipline him?
That is not a friendly question. Good one, though. No, that's not my job. Who appointed you the policeman of the world? Nobody appointed me policeman of the world.
So following the pattern of what you told us, you don't believe it's your place to enforce these rules. You believe that people should follow the law of the road for the motivation of being safe for your family. Given all that, do you believe that anger is the correct emotion to have?
Okay, good question, a little too complex.
Yeah.
So there's, you can bring it back. One, what does your anger do for you? Easier way to say that. What does the anger do for me? Yeah, we were getting at that earlier. Blows off steam, lets me feel something. What does it let me feel?
Nothing.
More anger.
What does the anger let me feel?
It lets you not deal with the pain.
Exactly.
Pain of
Makes me feel like I'm more in control. That's right. Am I really in control? Stop for a second. Anger, to what do you want? You were on it earlier. This would be a place to go at it. By the way, when you start to deal with yourself or others, you're going to run into these places where it feels like you've come into a dead end. And we're just hitting the same thing over and over again. That's where you want to start to think, wait a minute, your question was very good, Mr. Fenneman. Where else have you felt angry? Now, I told you something. Remember what I said, where else I felt angry? Disrespect. Can you make a connection between people's driving and my notion of respect? Yes?
You're not considerate about how you feel when they take their actions.
Say it again another way.
They don't care.
They don't care, but I do. That's, yeah. And I said, they don't respect the rules of the road, and I do. So it's because I'm so good and holy that I respect all the rules of the road and they don't. But I'll drive him off the road. Something that doesn't sound right here. But we're back to going, what is it that I want? I'm saying I want everybody to obey the rules of the road. Is that really what I want?
Ask yourself,
Which is why, what will it give you if everybody obeys the rules of the road? It will make me safe. It will make me secure. What will that do for you? What has respect got to do with that?
Were you disrespected?
Hmm?
Maybe you're disrespected.
That I'm being disrespected when they don't obey the rules of the road.
Or like something happened, or like before you were disrespected.
So let's ask, what do you want? I want to be respected. Goal or desire? Desire. What you're finding in my values, what I really want is respect. And what's happening in driving is what's being touched is people aren't respecting me. By the way, have I ever gotten angry in a classroom? That's a good question to ask. Have I ever been angry in a classroom? Yes.
I do.
And how would you follow up the question?
Who are you mad at?
No.
What was their address phone number?
What would be a good follow-up question? Well, no, that's
How did they make you angry?
what happened.
Did they disrespect you?
What happened in the classroom that made you angry? Well, I was doing a U.S. history class at a place called Desert Christian. And I had this group of students who were noted in school for being rather loud and didn't behave. And I had asked them to do something, and I was at the board, and there were two guys in the back of the room who were talking, and I could hear them. And I had just told them to stop talking. And they started talking again, and I got angry. And I reached, I thought, I'm going to take the eraser and throw it at them. I'm not going to hit them. I'm going to take it and I'm going to throw it across the room to show them how upset I am.
Did you accidentally hit him with the base?
And I took it and I threw it to throw it high, and as I threw it, the trajectory of it came down and hit one of the guys square in the forehead.
Was it like a soft one or like a
It had a wood handle.
Did he have a dry erase marker like standing?
Here.
When God wants
And my first thought was panic. I'm going to get sued for abusing a child in school.
Was it one of those erasers?
Horrified. No, it had a wood handle.
Oh.
So I got angry in class. What do you ask?
You break something, you're like, okay, what's enough?
Did it make you feel better?
Anger?
Your insides just
What did you want? Anytime anger shows up, you want to ask, what did you want? Remember how James says it? What causes the fights and quarrels? It's your desires that battle with. You want something and you're not getting it. What did you want? I wanted the guys to listen to me and do what I'd asked them to do. Is that a goal or desire?
Desire.
Desire. What are you supposed to do with a desire? You pray about it. Mr. O'Hare, did you pray about whether those guys should listen to you and do? No, I'm not going to pray about that. Why won't you pray about it? because I'm going to take over. And the way to put the fear of God in kids. Because if you blow up and get angry, what will they do? Ooh, he's angry at me. My life is at an end. Right? Any of you ever had a teacher angry at you? Did it succeed? Did it get you to back off?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a very effective tool. Get you to back off. What?
What happens with the kids?
He thankfully did not sue me, but he's threatened me since then.
Wait, was he like ouch or was he like, what did he say?
His own shame caught up with him. He was ashamed of himself for not, and I'm ashamed because so we've got a win-win situation here. We're both in shame. We only have a few minutes. To identify that what I want is respect, the next thing becomes this. Where did you learn that respect is so important? And now we're back to your question. Can you rephrase your question?
Rephrase the question. Have you ever been let down by someone who's dear to you?
Oh, yes. I have.
Like the first.
I have been disappointed by someone I really love. What do you ask?
How were you disappointed? How were you let down?
What happened? What happened? It was the day after Christmas. I was 6 years old. I'd gotten a bike for Christmas from Santa. My very first bike I ever had in my life. I don't remember Christmas morning, but the day after I remember it perfectly. We were living on Seneca, down near the university. And I had my new bike outside. It had chrome wheel covers, meaning it was cool. It was a cool bike. And my sister Riley, the one who's 18 months younger than me, comes up and says, "Johnny, can I ride your bike?" And I said, "Yes, Riley, you can ride it, but I don't want you to ride it through that mud puddle." And she got on my bike, and guess what she did? Rode it right through the mud puddle. That's what I remember. What do you ask?
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel bad. What else do you ask?
What did you want?
Not quite there yet. It made me feel bad. What would be the question you would ask?
Did you feel angry or did you feel pain?
What did you do?
What did I do after that? That's a very good follow-up. When she got back, I said, "I want my bike back." And I didn't let her ride it again.
What did you learn? To disobey God.
That's exactly the question that should come right after the next one to be asked. I felt bad. What's the question? Did that hurt? Yeah, I felt bad because it hurt. And now you've got Isaiah's question. What did you learn? What did I learn? 6 years of age. I asked my sister not to ride the bike through the mud puddle, and she ignored me and rode it through the mud puddle. Here's what I learned. By the way, this took probably a month because I was processing this through. This was my first entry into what I'm asking you to do in my own life. You're, by the way, going to find that there are some events in your life that taught you to believe something. And what you want to get at is, where did you learn that? And where I learned it was from my sister. Her disrespect of my request taught me that if people disrespect you, you will hurt. Is that rocket surgery? Is that, really deep, difficult issue to learn? Guess what's going to happen if people disrespect you? I want to be respected. Goal or desire?
Desire.
Desire. What if I don't get respect?
It's gonna hurt.
It's going to hurt. So the question, what did I learn? Luis? Never let my sister ride my bike. But even beyond that, from a 6-year-old, now that I'm a 35-year-old man, how do I take what I learned at 6 years old and how do I apply it when I'm 35 years old? Don't let people disrespect you. So how do I stop people from disrespecting me?
Teach them a lesson.
You run them off the road. You stop in the middle of traffic and yell at them. Why? Because I am not going to allow anyone to disrespect me. And who's in control?
You're
I am. There's my sin. That's my sin. I think I can control that. And I'm not going to trust God with people respecting. So here's the thing. When I reveal, what I learned is that if you get people to respect you, life will work out. That's the belief. Question, is that true? Is that going to make life work? If I get everybody to respect me, will life now work out for me? Because I'm never going to get everybody to respect me. My desire in doing this today with you was to give you a starting point for you as you look at your own thing to go, any idiot lights going off? What is it that you want? And by the way, where did you learn that that's so important? And is what you learned true or not? Because what's true down here? We lie to ourselves. When we get going on in this a little more, we're going to look, how do you get to turn from your lies? What do you do to change a lie? By the way, all the things you've learned down here have all been learned. You can unlearn them. And I'll give testimony. I am not as angry a driver today as I was 20 years ago. By the grace of God.
That's a good thing.